What happens when a legend faces an ambush? Tonight, we're diving into a historic TV clash. Chuck Norris walked away from Kimmel's stage. Subscribe now and comment your thoughts below. This story will shock you speechless. Chuck Norris entered with calm confidence. His presence commanded the Kimmel set. The audience roared, thrilled by the icon. He settled, adjusting his jacket precisely. Chuck Norris, everybody, Kimmel grinned widely. Thanks, Jimmy, Chuck replied respectfully. So, Chuck, Kimmel leaned forward slyly. These Chuck Norris facts are everywhere. Counting to infinity, dividing by zero. What's it like, being an internet meme? Chuck nodded, his voice thoughtful. It's flattering, people get creative. My family enjoys the humor. Right, Kimmel's smile turned sharper. Do these jokes make you a parody? Don't they diminish your legend? The question hung like a challenge. Chuck's posture shifted ever so slightly. I'm not sure you're meaning, Jimmy. Kimmel pressed, his tone mock innocent. You're the tough guy, but you're 80. Infomercials, no movies lately. Isn't the mystique just that mystique? The audience grew noticeably quieter. Chuck studied Kimmel's face intently. Jimmy, I've had a long career. I've entertained, taught, and served. I don't need to prove anything. But that's it. Kimmel's voice turned confrontational. You're invincible in your persona. What's so special about your accomplishments? Bruce Lee was a philosopher. Jackie Chan, stunts into his 60s. Steven Seagal, well, Kimmel smirked nervously. The audience laughed uneasily. Chuck's face remained stone still. What's your point, Jimmy? He asked evenly. I'm saying, Kimmel spread his hands. The legend outshines the reality. You were middling in the 80s. Some TV, some karate wins. Yet you're mythical, believing your own hype. The studio fell into tense silence. Chuck paused, his voice quieter. Jimmy, I came to talk about career, family, stories. Not to face disrespect. Disrespected. Kimmel's laugh was forced. I'm just asking questions. Isn't that what interviews are? There's a difference, Chuck said firmly. Questions inform. Yours tear down. This isn't journalism, it's mean-spirited. Kimmel's grin grew increasingly artificial. Can't handle tough questions, Chuck. Where's the guy tougher than nails? Need a tissue for your tears. The mockery stunned the audience. Several gasped, sensing danger. Chuck turned, facing Kimmel directly. Jimmy froze, his bravado faltering. You know, Jimmy, Chuck's voice was calm. I've been in this business 40 years. Professionals, amateurs, I've seen them. Journalists ask to inform. Others attack for their ego. Which are you? Chuck challenged quietly. Jimmy's cockiness began to crack. The tension gripped the studio. The band shifted uncomfortably. The audience sensed history unfolding. Jimmy squirmed, ego driving him. Look, Chuck, he tried regaining control. You're sensitive. This is comedy. We poke fun, keep it interesting. You're not used to challenges. Chuck's eyes narrowed slightly. Challenged, he repeated slowly. I've faced bone-breaking opponents. Directors demanded perfection in stunts. Life tested me beyond your imagination. You're not challenging, you're humiliating. Humiliate. Kimmel scoffed loudly. You're public, millions from toughness. The audience deserves the truth. When was your last real fight? Not choreographed or exhibition. The question aimed to provoke. Chuck recognized the trap instantly. Are you asking for proof? We can settle this right now. The audience gasped collectively. Jimmy's eyes widened in panic. Whoa, Chuck, he raised his hands. I'm not fighting you. Just saying, your mystique's marketing. Hollywood's smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. Chuck asked quietly. You think I'm just a brand? I think you're a businessman. You turned modest skills into fame. More power to you. But don't pretend you're superhuman. Chuck studied Kimmel with focus. His silence was unnervingly intense. Jimmy, know what respect means. Of course, Kimmel dismissed quickly. I don't think you do. Respect isn't earned by a show. It's shown to your guests. This is my show, Kimmel snapped. My house. I'll ask what I want. If you dislike, you can leave. Is that what you want? I want honesty. Kimmel leaned aggressively. Admit the legend is a role. You're just an aging actor. The silence was deafeningly heavy. Chuck stood, fluid and controlled. His movement radiated coiled power. You're right, Chuck said evenly. The legend differs from the man. The legend never gets angry. Never loses his calm. Jimmy swallowed, Chuck looming larger. But the man, Chuck continued softly. He learned discipline and honor. He doesn't tolerate insults from someone claiming toughness. Sit down. Kimmel's voice wavered. You're making this awkward. I'm awkward. Chuck laughed humorlessly. You invited, then tore me down. Disrespectful, unprofessional, embarrassing. You claim I'm the problem. If you can't handle ribbing, maybe interviews aren't for you. Ribbing, Chuck repeated sharply. Banter's playful. This is humiliation. You think you're entitled just because this is your show. Jimmy opened his mouth to retort. Chuck continued, his voice firm. In martial arts, honor guides us. Dignity, even in combat. You don't win tearing others down. You build yourself up. You wouldn't understand that. Your show thrives on destruction. This is entertainment, Kimmel said weakly. Audiences expect celebrities grilled. No, Jimmy, Chuck shook his head. This is bullying, plain and simple. Your blindness reveals your character. The cameras wavered uncertainly. The audience sat in stunned silence. Jimmy's face paled visibly. He laughed, seeking audience support. Chuck, you're overreacting, he said nervously. This is late-night TV. We joke, have fun. You've forgotten show business. Chuck stepped closer to the desk. Jimmy leaned back instinctively. I haven't forgotten anything. I remember hosts with class, decency toward their guests. This isn't show business. It's a man tearing others down. Wait, Jimmy's voice rose angrily. You can't lecture me. I've interviewed presidents and stars. They understood the territory. Territory. Chuck's eyebrows raised. Where you bully with a microphone. Insult guests because they're seated. I'm asking about your career. No, Chuck's voice was steel. Legitimate questions. Explore my path. How I transitioned to Hollywood. Advice for young martial artists. My thoughts on internet memes. But you, Chuck paused deliberately. You mocked my age and work. You called me a fraud. You goaded for cheap laughs. That's harassment, not journalism. Producers gestured from the wings. Jimmy ignored, his pride wounded. If you can't take the heat, go to Ellen for kid gloves. That name was Chuck's limit. His expression hardened instantly. You're right, Chuck's voice was firm. I should have gone elsewhere. Respect is absent here. Chuck removed his microphone deliberately. What's this? Jimmy asked, panicking. I'm leaving, Chuck said calmly. This toxic situation ends now. You can't. Jimmy's voice cracked. Leave mid-interview, on live TV. Watch me, Chuck replied simply. Don't be sensitive, Jimmy pleaded. We're conversing. Good television. Chuck faced him one last time. This isn't good television. It's a train wreck you can't see. Humiliating guests isn't clever. It makes you look small. Small. Jimmy's voice broke. Small, Chuck confirmed sadly. Insecure, desperate for attention. I've met heroes and cowards. Champions, and cheaters too. But never such desperation. To prove toughness by attacking. Jimmy stood, flushed with rage. You think you're better. Because you know karate. You disrespect my show. I don't, Chuck said quietly. I'm better than this mess. Security moved toward the stage. Producers signaled frantically off stage. Chuck raised a steady hand. No need for security. I'm leaving on my terms. Unlike some, he glanced at Kimmel. I know when to walk. Fine, leave, Jimmy shouted shakily. Run away like a coward. Chuck paused at the stage's edge. He turned the studio silent. Jimmy, his voice carried clearly. I've been called many things. Tough, disciplined, determined. Stubborn, demanding, difficult too. But never, Chuck's gaze was piercing. Until tonight, a coward. Congratulations, you're the first. Chuck Norris walked off the stage. Jimmy stood, his face ghostly. The audience sat in shock. The cameras captured his humiliation. Well, Jimmy whispered, voice breaking. That's Chuck Norris, everybody. The attempt fell painfully flat. His ambush had spectacularly backfired. Chuck left, dignity fully intact. Jimmy faced his own consequences. Backstage, chaos erupted instantly. Chuck's team confronted Kimmel's staff. This disrespect will be addressed. Producers deflected, citing live TV. Chuck remained composed and resolute. He thanked the crew's professionalism, then exited without another word. Social media ignited within seconds. #Kimmel exposed trended globally overnight. Fans praised Chuck's unyielding honor. Critics debated his calm exit. The clash dominated every platform. Insiders shared Kimmel's past tactics. Other guests recalled similar ambushes. His influence had quietly stung. Now exposed, his reputation shattered. Kimmel's show faced swift fallout. Ratings dropped in the aftermath. Guests hesitated, booking appearances. A hiatus was soon announced. Creative adjustments, the network claimed. Rumors hinted at deeper issues. Kimmel's humor now felt mean. His legacy was permanently scarred. Chuck stayed silent post-show. His publicist released a statement. Chuck appreciates the support. He focuses on future endeavors. Hollywood took note of the clash. Hosts learned respect was paramount. Ambushing legends ended in ruin. The showdown became TV folklore. It's replayed in industry discussions. Chuck's exit inspired countless others. His discipline was a masterclass. Kimmel's fall warned against malice. Crossing lines carried heavy costs. What's your take on this clash? Did Chuck handle it right? Or should he have stayed fighting? Comment below, share your view. Subscribe for more shocking stories. What's next in TV's shadows?